This is Marianne of This Love Works, and I want to talk today about what to do when you notice that your partner is depressed. A lot of times, what happens is that we notice that their mood starts to shift or their behavior begins to shift. But a lot of times, with couples, we wait things out, right? We let our person work it out for themselves, or we wait for them to come to us. And depression is one of those really sneaky kinds of mental health issues that needs attention right away, largely because it can really affect a relationship in that it is contagious. So, our partner feeling depressed or experiencing depression can also then bring that same energetic experience to us. So it's very important to pay attention when you begin to notice some of the subtle signs of depression. And so I want to talk a little bit about what those are and what to look out for. So physical pain can be amplified when there is depression. And a lot of times it's kind of a vicious circle. So if somebody has back pain, hip pain, some other kind of chronic pain itself can be the cause of depression. So we want to pay attention that if your partner is experiencing chronic pain or some kind of chronic illness, that in and of itself can cause depression. So be on the lookout for an amplification of physical pain, or if there is chronic pain or chronic illness. The other thing that you might notice with your partner is fatigue. So is your partner having bouts of fatigue where they are spending more time in bed? Or the opposite can sometimes be true, where they are depressed, so they are not necessarily sleeping or staying in bed, but maybe they have no energy or motivation to do anything. So maybe if taking a walk was one of the rituals that you had for stress relief, and your partner suddenly doesn't really want to do that with you anymore. That's something that you also want to pay attention to and can be an indicator that your partner is depressed. Also pay attention to other kinds of sleep disturbances. So is your partner sleeping in shorter intervals, or is your partner sleeping in, or is your partner maybe not going to bed until late? That's something that you want to really zero in on and pay attention to. Another symptom that you will want to pay attention to is irritability that is disproportionate to the experience that you're having. Listen, all of us can feel irritable, especially in intimate relationships. We know people are hard, and that means we are too. And so sometimes our partner can become irritable with us. What you want to pay attention to is if your partner is irritable in a disproportionate way, or if they are more irritable, if they suddenly are either starting fights more. It's very important to pay attention to. Anger is actually a sign that the nervous system is trying to regulate depression, right? If we think about depression as bottoming out with regard to our energy, anger or starting arguments can sometimes shake up the nervous system and elevate the energy. And so anger and irritability can be a sign that your person has bottomed out and is depressed, and the nervous system is trying to re-regulate itself. So the importance of paying attention to whether or not your partner is starting arguments or is more irritable, we oftentimes will really get hooked in to that. And one of the things that we want to understand is that this is a symptom of something that's broader. And so can we then, rather than getting hooked into it, can we see it as a symptom and start to pay attention to what might really be going on for your partner? The other thing that you want to pay attention to is a change in mood. So I want to make a distinction about depression. Depression is not necessarily we popularly consider a mood shift or sadness. Depression is actually a state of being, and it is really characterized by a lack of motivation or interest in things that one might have been interested in before. So you might notice that your partner's behavior changes around their hobbies or sports or even their work. So sometimes suddenly taking mental health days or not wanting to go into work or to see friends might be something that you want to pay attention to as a symptom or a sign of depression. Changes in their behavior are also really important to pay attention to, because a lot of those kinds of activities might help to raise or elevate the nervous system. And that includes any kind of exercise. Exercise in general will help to shift the brain chemistry and can help to lead one out of depression. And remember that because it's a state of being and a lack of motivation, your partner may not want to take walks or get exercise in the way that they found relief in the past. And sometimes you need to be able to talk to your partner in a way that might help them to recognize what's going on. And that lower energy is going to affect the relationship. So it's really something that you want to nip in the bud as soon as possible. The other thing that we want to pay attention to is, do you know that your partner has a hereditary disposition to, or predisposition to depression? Is there a family member that they have, close family member, parent, sibling that experiences depression? They are far more likely to experience depression if that is the case. So what do you do about it? One of the things to remember is that, depression, just like any other mental illness, needs to be addressed by the couple relationship. So it's not really enough, right? You wouldn't let your partner walk around with a broken arm and not help them, right? You wouldn't not help your partner if they have some kind of a heart issue. You would be there to help them. It would be evident if they had a broken limb that they would need help. Well, the trouble with depression is that it is a silent mental illness. Oftentimes, we don't even recognize what's going on. So it's very, very important to help your partner to recognize what's going on and that you are in it with them. Oftentimes, one of the features of depression is that one feels very, very desperately alone. And in that feeling of aloneness, they begin to feel desperation, and it becomes kind of this sense of being in a whirlpool. So when they know that you are in it with them and that you are part of helping them to regain their mental stability by perhaps helping to make appointments for them at a psychiatrist or their doctor, so that they can begin to really recognize what's going on with them and perhaps have an approach to manage it with medication, exercise, and counseling. CBT and DBT are some of the very, very most widely recognized treatments for easing depression. So remember that when your person is experiencing mental illness or illness of any kind, the most effective approach is to be in it together and help to soothe your partner and help your partner to know that they are not alone. And remember that when you do that, your love works. Marianne Marlowe, This Love Works. If you like these videos, please go ahead and subscribe, and we'll be in your box so that you can have more of the relational help that really will help to get your relationship back on track. Marianne Marlowe, This Love Works.